Hi y'all, it's Charlene from the Crafty Art Shack, and we're here today with another challenge video. So I'll tell you about that in just a few minutes, so let's get to the craft desk and get started. Alright, here we go with DIY number 1. Alright, for this first DIY, I found this poster silhouette of a grazing horse, and it's $25 for a 24 by 18. Now we're going to recreate ours on a canvas, and it is 11 by 18, but it's going to be worth more because it's going to be hand painted. So the first thing you're going to need is you're going to need a picture of a horse, and I got mine off of Canva. And then here we go with our colors. We're going to use orange and brown and black chalk paint and King's Gold, lemon yellow, and I am lining all these up like I'm going to use them, and also some white. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to lay my paints down in the color that I want to use them, and I always go from the darker to the lighter when I'm doing my backgrounds, and you see how close together I'm putting my paint. This is very important. So I'm laying all 4 of these colors down, and we're going to pull these colors at the same time, and then I'm going to add some brown in there. Now we're not going to use the black. Now we're going to start from the lightest color and go to the darkest color. So see how I'm pulling those 3 colors, and I'm just using an old chip brush. The older the chip brush, the better it is, because it just seems to put that paint down perfect for you. And you're going to put the darker color towards the top, and then you're just going to go back and forth across your painting. If you run out of paint, make sure you lay your paintbrush back the same way. Start with the dark up at the top. It's okay. We're going to blend that harsh line in, and it's not going to be that hard. And look at there. See, we just blended it right in. We have us a beautiful skyline starting here, and I'm making sure I'm catching all the edges of my canvas. And then the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to move over to our next 3 colors. So I'm picking up the previous color, and I'm going with the darkest color, and I'm going to start with the dark facing the bottom of the canvas now, because we're painting the lower half. We want to paint it darker towards the bottom. When you're doing the top of the canvas, you paint the lighter towards the top. Now the next thing we're going to do is pick up some of our white, and I didn't have enough white on my palette, so I'm going to go back and pick up some more, and I am just going to draw a little sun, and I'm going back to see where my horse is going to be on this canvas and where I want to place it. And then I'm going to make my little sun, and you're just doing a little circle. If it's not perfect, it's okay, because when you look out in nature, nothing's perfect, but it is perfect. And then we're going to take a light smaller chippy brush, and we're just going to drag it across that sun, because we're giving it an illusion of it being there. And if it doesn't turn out the way you want it, just go back and put it back on there again until you get it to look like you want. You don't have to put 2 coats on it. I just did that this time because I wanted it to be a little darker. So the next thing I'm going to do after my sun is dried and my background is dried, I'm going to take my horse and a piece of carbon paper, and I'm going to lay as much of this horse on this painting that I want to be there. And I'm going to tape it in place, and I'm going to trace it with my pencil. I wanted to make sure I gave y'all some options that you can do that would make it easy for you to be able to paint this picture. Now, he didn't have that silhouette of his extra ear, so I drew one in, and we're going to go all the way around and trace all of this on there. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up some black, and I'm using that round royal brush from Walmart, and I am just going around and tracing out all my lines. And if you notice, I put my pinky down on my canvas and drag it, and that helps give me stability when I'm tracing out the stuff. And you're just going to draw your little lines in. If you mess up, it's okay. It's just paint. We can paint this again. And then I'm going to make sure that I've got every line traced, and then I'm going to begin filling it in. and you want to make sure you catch the edges of your canvas as well, because if you don't frame this, then it can just hang on the wall just like it is. So I'm showing you that I went ahead and painted that back leg in that goes around the edge of the canvas, and now I'm going back and filling this in. Now, if you notice, I painted the horse where he's not standing at the bottom of the canvas. We got to give him some ground to stand on. So I'm just going in there with the same brush, and I am dragging it along, making the ground. And you don't want to make this level, because ground is never really level anywhere you go, and you want to make sure you catch the edges of your canvas and the bottom of your canvas when doing this. Now I'm going to take a little bit of that paint, and you saw how I rolled that brush in the paint, and I'm just going to make little streak marks along here, because what I'm doing is I'm creating the grass, and I'm not doing this any particular fancy way. I'm just trying to make it look like grass that's there, and I'm adding some little seeds on the end of the grass like it's growing, and that way we have more grass for the next time. And then I just go in there, and you want to make these go in different directions, and if you need to, slow the video down so that you can see how to paint this. If y'all would like me to do a more in-depth tutorial, I will. This is really not a tutorial video. It's just a way to show you what we did for our projects. And so I'm going to just keep adding this in there. Then the last thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to take my brush, and it's a real fine brush, and I put some white paint on it so it would show up, and I'm going to sign my artwork, and we'll see the rest of this at the final reveal. Now this is the summer look off the hook, and this is an open DIY challenge. It's hosted by CJ at CJ DIY, also hosted by Christine over at the DIY Craftaholic, and Jackie over at Crafting in Mimi's World. These ladies are doing some awesome crafts. Their links, along with the link to the playlist, is in the description box below. Go check them out, because they're doing some awesome crafts, and you sure don't want to miss them. And let's get on with the rest of the video. Alright, here we go with DIY number 2. Now for this DIY, I found this horse statue over on the Wayfair website for $259.99. Now, I couldn't find the size of it, but they have it in several colors, and I chose this one, and I'm going to try to recreate it with a toy horse. So let's get into the video and see how I did. Now for this video, I started out with this toy horse. I cut off the tail and I cut off the hair because I already knew what I wanted to do with this one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my air dry clay, and I am going to work it so that I can use it on this horse. Now the first thing I need to do is make an armature for my horse's tail so it can stand out like I wanted it to, similar to the one in the picture. So when I cut that tail off, it left a hole in there, and I took and pushed the rest of that piece of hair that I couldn't get out back in there, and then I'm going to stick this in there, and I made a little hook on the end, and then I'm going to hot glue this in, and I'm going to take a wooden peg and stick it in there so that it holds this nice and tight in place. And then I'm going to shape my clay. I was going to work on the tail first, but I decided to work on the headpiece. So this one I made another one for another one of my videos, but this one I'm trying to do a different style mane for this horse. So I'm putting it on there, shaping it, and then what I'm doing is I'm going back and taking Aleene's tacky glue, and I'm going to stick this down onto here, and that's going to squish out around the edges, and I want it to do that so that this stays nice and secure. Then I'm going to press it in place, pull the glue down, and wipe it into place and let the glue dry. We don't want to let the clay dry. We want to let the glue dry. And the next thing I did is I went and took out my tools, and these are actually fondant tools that you use for making cakes, and they actually came from the Dollar Tree. And what I'm doing, once that glue has set up enough to where that clay's not moving around, I'm going in there to manipulate this clay into the shapes that I want it to be in. And I'm trying to recreate that hair piece up at the front, and we're going to give this hair a lot more movement than what it had in the last horse video that I did. Remember, I said I was doing that one because I wanted to see if I could do it. I did it. So this time I'm trying to up my game by doing more shaping with my tools. Now I'm taking an X-Acto knife and trimming up all this excess stuff that I don't need and creating little pieces of hair. And I'm going to continue shaping this till I get it in the shape I want it. And here is the back of the mane. Now I put a lot of little marks in it, and I'm showing you how I use my tool to rub that mane into the shape that I want it. And then I'm going to take this little tool right here, and I'm going to just continue to make the little hair lines for his mane. And then we're going to move on to working on his tail. Now, after I get the piece in, the armature in for his tail, and I've got it secured, now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take and roll out a little tube, and I'm going to slide it right down through the center of that piece of wire that I have, and I'm going to make sure it goes all the way down to where it connects to the body. I'm going to put some Aleene's tacky glue, and I'm going to use quite a bit of it to make sure that this is nice and secure, and I'm going to let it get good and snug before to where it's not moving around. I'm going to wipe off the excess and then clean up the edges, because the tails for a horse is not that fat where it connects. But I need to make sure that I get this rubbed down in there. And this is the most important part of this, is making sure that it's attached to the body really good. And then I'll shape it just like I did the mane. Now I'm going to go in there with my scissors and cut out some spots, and then just keep shaping this until I get it the way I want it. And then we will see the rest of this at the final reveal. If y'all want me to do a video where I go step by step on these, let me know in the comments below, because I would be more than more than happy to show you what all we did and how we created this in more detail. So sometimes I just get so excited with these pieces I forget to tell y'all what I'm doing next, and I was getting ready to take y'all to the final reveal with this piece, but it's not ready for the final reveal because I've got to take and put some tacky glue all over this after I finish shaping everything the way I want it, and then I've got to let this sit and dry overnight. Then the next step that I did is I took and painted the whole horse, the body and the mane, in the black chalk paint that you get from the Dollar Tree. And then the next thing after that is we're going to let it dry. Now here it is once it's dry, and we are going to go in here with some rub and buff now, because I wanted to bring out, I know in the picture they didn't use rub and buff or anything to bring out the details of the horse, but I just thought, gosh, this would be so pretty if I just brought out the details. And so I'm going in there and barely touching this with that rub and buff, and I'm going to do the whole body in this, and then we'll see this at the final reveal, because this turned out awesome. All right, here we go with DIY number 3. Now for this DIY, I found this leather looking wood horse wreath for $239. Here's an up close picture. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of these tiles that you get from the Dollar Tree. I got that wood horse cut out. It was in my stash. I don't remember where I got it from, but I think it was off of Etsy. I don't remember. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut out all the pieces of the tile. Now once you cut this, it's going to be free from the sticky stuff. So what you're going to want to do is go back in there and pull the sticky stuff off and glue it down to your board. After you get it glued to your board, and I did have to piece that bottom section on because it wasn't it wasn't big enough. So I'm going to go through and take black chalk paint and cover the whole thing. Now the next thing I did is I took and one of those crosses that they had at Easter time, and I took and cut off part of the cross. I drilled some holes in my horse so that I could zip tie this piece on there so that I can add my flowers to this. Now if I had to do it again, I think I would zip tie a pool noodle or some floral foam or something on here so that I can stick my pieces in exactly where I wanted them instead of having to settle for the way it was. So that's the next step. After I get that zip tied into place, I'm going to take my rub and buff and I'm going to go over the horse where I think it needs all of this gold put in there, just like was in the picture that I showed you of the horse wreath. And that horse wreath was on Etsy. I don't know if I said that or not. I'm going to start adding my florals into this piece, and I'm just zip tying them to that piece of the cross that I cut to put on this. And I'm going to just keep adding florals until I get it to look like I want it to. And we'll see the rest of this at the final reveal. Now this is the summer look off the hook. And this is an open DIY challenge. It's hosted by CJ at CJ DIY. Also hosted by Christine over at the DIY Craftaholic and Jackie over at Crafting in Mimi's World. These ladies are doing some awesome crafts. Their links, along with the link to the playlist, is in the description box below. Go check them out because they're doing some awesome crafts and you sure don't want to miss them. And let's get on with the rest of the video. Now at this time we'd like to thank our subscribers. We love you bunches. And here we go with the final reveal. Y'all, we're back from the craft test and then these turn out so cute. Now, if you like our content, subscribe, and that way you don't miss another episode of the Crafty Art Shack, because we're always doing something fun, always trying something new, and always doing crazy things. So you guys subscribe if you're not subscribed. It's free. And we'll see you in the next episode of the Crafty Art Shack. We'll see you later. Bye.
These turn out just adorable. Those little dupes, I think something I sure do. Alright y'all, we're back from the craft test and look at these. Isn't this absolutely gorgeous for a little tier tray sitter? And I love that rooster and I love the chicken as well, and I'm sure that my daughter is going to love them too. So you guys, if you like this content, subscribe. If you're already subscribed, thank you bunches. We love you bunches. And if you like this content, subscribe. Yeah, I said that already. Subscribe. I messed up. Alright y'all, we're back from the craft desk, and didn't these turn out absolutely gorgeous? I love this one, I love the rooster, and I love the little chicken, and I'm why did I do that? Alright y'all, give us that big thumbs up and subscribe. Hit that notification bell, and we'll see you in the next episode. See you later. Bye.